Some Canadian travelers are still waiting for new flights following Transport Canada's decision to ground all Boeing 737 MAX aircrafts earlier this week. The decision came after last Sunday's Ethiopian Airlines crash, which killed all 157 people on board, including 18 Canadians. Updates on both WestJet and Air Canada's website say the airlines are still working to rebook guests. Gabor Lukic is a Canadian air passenger rights advocate and a consultant with Flair Airlines, and he joins us this morning live from Halifax. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so let's start off and talk about the impact that this has had on flights and passengers. We're hearing about people frustrated and a lack of communication.
I feel for people's frustration, but I would say that for the first 48 hours after the grounding was announced, we should give some grace to the airlines and we should be sympathetic to the airlines. What happens from today and onwards is a separate story. The airlines have been aware of this issue developing since the beginning of the week. So we are starting to get to the point where we can reasonably expect airlines to have alternative arrangements, including leasing aircraft from other companies, from other sources, and rearranging their schedules as needed.
Okay. And Gabor, maybe if we can talk a little bit about, for those travelers, Air Canada, WestJet, and Sunwing, they were all saying that they were assuring full waiver fees for those impacted. But what does this really mean for people who still aren't getting the right information?
First of all, that's not that accurate information to begin with, because until the flights were grounded, Air Canada has been insisting that passengers who were not comfortable flying on the given aircraft would have to pay. So it's only after the Transport Canada stepped in that they are agreeing not to waive those fees. This means that you can change or cancel your flight free of charge. Hopefully the airline will honor that. In the current situation, airlines still have the obligation to transport passengers, and they have the obligation to take all reasonable measures to prevent damage and delay to passengers. That may mean that they have to rearrange their schedule. It may mean that they have to wet lease aircraft from other sources. Airlines cannot just say, our aircraft are grounded and therefore we are not flying. They have to take more steps. They have to react to the situation and proactively seek other aircraft to the extent that they can.
Okay, so what should passengers be doing now if they're still having difficulties? What are their options?
Passengers should first document their experience with the airlines. And from this point, I believe from today, passengers should be looking also at compensation for accommodation, for meals, possible lost wages, other losses they incur, because it is one thing that an airline is not able to fly, but it's a different thing when they fail to arrange for other aircraft, other solutions. And it's certainly a completely different thing when they even fail to communicate. Communication is the easiest, lowest cost, lowest resource aspect. It may mean having a few more people helping, maybe calling in some extra workforce that they need, but having right communication and having full communication is the bare minimum airlines should be doing to passengers. That's a no-brainer.
Okay. And you said, to sort of give them this grace period of the first 48 hours. Is there a better way that this could have been rolled out?
Certainly. If the airlines had been willing to waive the change fees to begin with, when many passengers were already concerned about that aircraft model before it was grounded, then we would not have been here. Perhaps even then the whole process would have been more graceful, less frustrating for everybody.
Now, looking ahead, what happens if the upgraded software doesn't necessarily come out on time, and what are the implications for travelers?
That, of course, may mean more disruptions, but the airlines will have to handle that. This is their aircraft, their fleet. They chose to purchase this particular model of aircraft, knowing all the risks, and they have to count with that risk. And airlines, if they want to avoid significant financial liability, they will have to show that they have taken everything they could to get other aircraft now, rental, possible older models that they usually don't use. Everything has to be used to transport passengers.
All right, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Gabor Lukic joining us live from Halifax this morning. And for more information on your rights when you fly, you can visit Gabor's website, airpassengerrights.ca.